Hello there, my name is Kamsa Tepavong from Buena Vista University, and today I'll be explaining more about my research paper that I did in this class. Effect of drugs used on an unborn child. The breakdown. Introduction, sex and drugs, type of drugs, background cases, abortion case, NAPW documentation state versus Graywin. Solution, conclusion. This way. Introduction. Drug abuse has been a very serious issue being related to pregnancy throughout history. The purpose of writing this paper is to inform about the effect of drug use on an unborn child from the past to the present. According to Rachel Ralph, she said, if Oregon's first city of Charleston is where the public hospital violates the Constitution when it tests pregnant women for drug use and turn over positive results to the police without so much obtaining a search warrant. Medical professionals and the general public agree that it's not desirable for pregnant women to use drugs. And here's a picture that help describe that. Sex and drugs. A professor from Brown University did a testing, and he wanted to see three types of women what would like affect their relationship and stuff with sex and drugs. So first off, he did treatment-seeking drug-using women. Second was non-treatment seeking drug-using women, and third was non-drug-using women. And the outcome was that the result of this outcome indicated that treatment and non-treatment seeking drug-using women were more likely to be single, unemployed than non-drug-using women, and they tend to seek parental care later in the pregnancy. Treatment-seeking drug-using women were significantly older than both other groups and were more likely to report recent heroin use. So as you can tell is that the single and non-drug using, they like more go into like toward parental care instead of like the older treatment was that the older people and they mostly go back like fall back into using more drugs. Type of drugs. Here are the top three drugs that I mentioned in my paper. Heroin, and here's a picture describing heroin. Cocaine, here's that picture. And marijuana, and there's that picture. The reason why I chose these three types of drugs to write more in depth into my research paper is that all of them cause like a good amount of abortion rate and a lower premature birth rate. And with like understanding all that, it's like women in that are taking drugs that are during pregnant tend to lose lots of weight. They have like issue with the like body and like the figure and stuff, which is horrible for their body. And these are like the main concern that you want to look at when understanding about the drug, the what type of drug they use. Background cases. Pregnant sustained using women often have multiple life problems, including physical health problems such as HIV, hepatitis, and other blood-borne diseases, sexually transmitted diseases, malnutrition, and vitamins or mineral deficiencies, emotional or mental health problems such as low self-esteem, anxiety, and depression or the experience of trauma. In addition, they may be living in an abusive relationship and have family histories of substance use problems. Some may be homeless and living on the street, and some may be engaging in high-risk behaviors, such as injecting drugs and unprotected sex. Abortion case NAPW documentation state for Squirrelin. And this was one of those serious cases that helped like explain more in depth about like abortion and stuff for women. So, on February 7, 1992, Martina Graywin, a 28-year-old homeless Native American woman from Fargo who was roughly 12 weeks pregnant, was arrested. She was charged with reckless endangerment based on the claims that by inhaling the vapors of painful fumes, she was creating a substantial risk of serious bodily injury or death to her unborn child. In its conclusion, they talk about this more in like the Supreme Court and understanding like where she was from and like she couldn't pay that much money and like getting people to help her, so on. According to the news report, the prosecutor in the case stated that since Miss Raywin had the abortion, it was no longer worth the time or expense to prosecute her. On April 10, 1992, the child endangerment charge was dismissed. And there's Went on for a while, but then they keep going back and forth fighting about the case. Case continue. So going back and finding like the right information and what like pop out the most to me would have been on March 30, 1992, Miss Greenwood filed a motion to dismiss the charge, arguing that the state in this case was seeking to criminalize the pregnancy of a drug-addicted woman by applying a stringent and unforeseen construction of the North Dakota reckless endangerment statute, as well as other ground, including the fact that the abortion rendered the case model moot. Well, like for this, they keep going back and forth, and they haven't like understand like the rules and regulations in North Dakota. So this was like one of the major cases that involve about like criminalizing a hope like a homeless woman, and like she didn't have like no money and stuff. So it was one of those major cases that helped with the abortion. Solution. Well, I came up with three solutions, and my first one is to help deal with this problem would be abstinence. As stated, abstinence is everybody's first method of contraception. It is 100% effective safeguarding against sexually transmitted disease and unplanned pregnancy. However, sexual abstinence can be a hard thing to practice. This would be a pretty hard thing to practice. However, not many people understand the concept of not to have sex before marriage, and for in it's like for this case is that if you're pregnant and you're like a drug user, you shouldn't have sex in the first place, which is pretty hard. However, my second solution is you should enter rehabilitation. There are four stages, and there are the following: treatment initiation, early abstinence, maintain abstinence, and advanced recovery. In the first one is that treatment initiation is understanding that you are like in serious need of help, and you don't know where to go yet, and you know that you have a drug type of problem. So the next step would be early abstinence. This is when you finally enter a rehab and like talk to like a counselor like why you are using this type of drugs while you're being pregnant. And then after that step is maintain abstinence, and this is like into the 3 month process in the rehab center, and like you explain and talk about drug, and you're like getting away, you're not doing drugs anymore during that process. And finally, advanced recovery. That's the final step. It's you're totally sober and you're not doing any drugs, which is pretty good. So if you're not doing any drugs during that time, you could get pregnant, and then you don't have to worry about going back into drugs because you're like in the final step and you're sober. Solution continue. Finally, the last solution, there will be no possible solution at all. So according to American Pregnancy, they said about last solution would be no possible way because of a woman's decision to keep on doing drugs and being pregnancy while at it would be put into jail. According to the law currently, Tennessee is the only state in which a woman can be prosecuted for using illegal drug while pregnant. Women offer a choice between serving time in jail and joining a rehab program. Many states have expanded their civil child welfare requirement to include substance abuse during pregnancy as ground for terminating parental rights in relation to child abuse and neglect. Conclusion. Overall, from my conclusion, there was a lot of difficulties understanding like the result and stuff because it's a lot more information that I could add into this research paper. So what I came up is that this will still be an ongoing matter to this day because there are plenty of information to gather with this type of research. According to American Pregnancy Association state, establishing contact with product addict is difficult as women with substance abuse problem with access prenatal care late in their pregnancy. Other challenges include matching the appropriate substitute substance and maintains doses to patient needs. This helps to achieve satisfactory level of stabilization to avoid concomitant use of illicit substance by pregnant women and to minimize neonatal withdrawal symptoms, which is crazy as you like understand that this process would be like one of the hardest, and women in our society today are like dealing with a lot of issues, and if they're going to like drug addicted, and if there's like other problems, they don't really understand that concept right now, but they are going more into studying and researching more in depth about them. References. And thanks for listening to my presentation today.